Well, folks, today is kind of an exciting day in the life of Renix P-Sale because I'm doing something that I have never done before and I quite possibly may never do again, and that is have an auction that is only graded games. I've got 30 plus games here that we're going to be auctioning off on Whatnot today, and I thought it'd be kind of fun and interesting to give kind of my predictions of what I think might happen in this auction and share with you guys a little bit of my thoughts and concerns and who knows of what is actually going to happen. And then afterwards, I'll catch up with you guys once we know what everything has sold for and just share kind of what I have learned from the whole experience and whether or not this format of selling graded games was actually a good idea. Granted, I've got a larger following than most people do, so the results of this will not necessarily be indicative of what you could expect if you sold on Whatnot or a similar platform in auction format. But nonetheless, I'm going to be, as transparent as I can looking at this stuff right now. I will say that I'm a little bit nervous of what is actually going to happen in this auction, mostly because I have about probably an average of $200 a piece into each of these, $100 in grading fees and an average of probably $100 buy cost on these. Some of them are a lot lower, granted, I don't know why. We've got stuff, I don't know why I graded Forza Motorsport. This one was probably only like $20 or so sealed, but we've also got stuff like Blood Omen 2, which would have been probably, I don't know, 300 or so. I actually can't remember what I paid for it. Smash Bros. Brawl I know is in the 100 range sealed. Virtua Quest I know wasn't cheap. So maybe Resident Evil Player's Choice I know I paid over $200 for. So anyways, we've got a lot of money into this stuff and I'm really hoping. In the past sold graded games for, I would say my highest one was like 700. I think that was a Fire Emblem Awakening on the Wii. And the lowest that I've sold them for is like $100. So I've taken losses on graded games on Whatnot before, but I'm hoping that because I marketed this as a graded games only auction, that all the people hopefully on the platform that are into graded games will be there, and hopefully these will sell for, some decent numbers. On the whole, I would love to see an average of $300 average sale price on these guys, which would put me at $100 gross, but after fees, I would net, assuming my average buy cost on all of these really is about $200, which I think it is, that would put me at an average of $76 in profit per game, which isn't the best margin, in terms of percentage ROI. Normally I'm looking to double up, but when you factor in $75 a piece for 30 games over the course of 2 hours, that's a really solid day. So if the average buy cost was in the about $300 range, I'd be pretty stoked about that. That said, with some of these titles being definitely lower end, I'm not sure that we're gonna get there. For example, Finny the Fish, is he gonna go for a lot of money? No, definitely not. But then again, we've got Pokemon White, which I have $600 or $700 into, which honestly I will probably take a loss on if we're being honest. Wouldn't be surprised, but I'm looking to move it. I've had a good number of copies of that, and this is my last one that I'm looking to liquidate at this point. Then we've got other stuff like Forza Motorsport. Not going to be a great one, but I would guess that Blood Omen 2 will be a really solid one. I have no idea. Smash Bros. Brawl is getting given away, so that that's always kind of a fun thing to generate some hype and hopefully get some more eyeballs. And then also the weirdest one, I've had 3 people since I posted my last video when I was unboxing a lot of this stuff. I've had 3 people message me and say, hey, can I buy Shrek Super Slam from you before the auction? I'm like, that makes no sense. The runner-up, nobody mentioned Pokemon White. No one mentioned Mario or Brawl. One person asked for Shadow the Hedgehog, but that was the runner-up. I don't understand why so many people love Shrek Super Slam, so that could maybe be an underdog in terms of price, given the interest that we've seen on it. But as far as the other ones, I would guess that anything GameCube is going to do me proud, but there are a lot of more obscure series, right? I think Halo's gonna do well. I think COD's gonna do well, even though these are relatively common games to find sealed. I think Mario will do really well, even though that's a super common one to find graded. Shadow should do well. But some of these more obscure, like, I don't know about Shadow Hearts. I don't know about No More Heroes. I don't know about, Our Tonelico. So you guys can let me know in the comments what your predictions are, and I'm gonna catch up with you guys after everything is said and done, give you guys some updates on like what individual games sold for, and then also calculate the average sale price and see if we're at that $300 mark. All right, folks, well, here we are post-auction, and it went fine, I would say. Fine. I'm not jumping for joy. I'm not wanting to crawl into a hole. It was all right. Stuff went for pretty much what I expected it to, which is below market for sure, but I've said this before and I'll say it again. The primary value of selling on Whatnot is not being able to expect to get market value or even just under market value for products, even for me, right? Which I think a lot of people oftentimes have a misconception that everything that I throw on Whatnot, because I have a big YouTube following, will just magically go for much over market value because they jumped into one of my first auctions on the platform that had a lot more hype behind it and a lot more audience, and assumed that that's just the norm. Now that I'm selling on there like once a week, I'm getting much more modest numbers, especially on more like obscure collectibles like these graded games. So I'll give you guys some concrete examples of what stuff sold for, and I'll zoom in a little bit so we have a little bit better. Oh yeah, that picture looks great. That's just kind of miscellaneous stuff over there. So here were the most expensive games that sold. Pokemon White went for $635, which I think I have about 600 into it, maybe a little bit more. So after fees, I'll be losing a little bit, but I'm moving it, right? The theme of the day is sales velocity, not necessarily trying to milk every single dollar that I can out of this stuff. Resident Evil sold for 400, I think, which I think I spent 200 on this, if I'm not mistaken, 100 on grading. Plus, when you factor in fees, I'm probably making in the neighborhood of like $50 on this game, which I'm fine with because it's gone, it's out of my hair. A couple of the pleasant surprises were Finny went for like 150, which is great because I didn't think anyone would really care about that. Am I actually making money? No, I'm probably just about breaking even on that because again, all of these cost 100 plus just to grade. And then Devil Kings went for 200. I'm probably making like, that's not a super valuable game sealed if I'm not mistaken. So I'm probably making like $50 on that. There were a few L's that I took in this auction. Blood Omen 2, I probably had around 300 into, at least after grading fees, maybe before grading fees, and it ended up selling for just over 300. So definitely taking a loss on that. The worst loss of the day probably is Shadow Hearts. I think I had around $50 into it and also 100 plus in grading fees. And this thing went for 111. So after selling fees, I'm grossing less than $100, just over $100 on this. So I'm losing over $50 on this for sure. Not exactly what you would want. I think there may have been a little bit of this one ended a lot quicker than I expected. I don't know if there were bidding issues or what, or maybe people just didn't want this game. And then Devil Summoner 2 went for in the 200 range as well. This game goes sealed for around 200. I probably paid maybe like 150 sealed plus the 100 to grade. So I had at least 250 into this game and it sold for around 200. Then I got to pay fees. So definitely an L on this one. But a good number of the other ones I'm making like a little bit of money. Dead or Alive was decent. What else? Galaxy 2, I think I'm making some solid money on. Oddworld, probably breaking even. So hopefully you guys can see that when I say I deeply value sell-through over getting every dollar out of stuff that I possibly can, I always say I want to be in the selling business, not the storage business. And moments like these really prove it, right? I knew full well going into this that it was very possible that stuff was going to sell below full market value. And in fact, most stuff probably would because this is a live auction format. If you want to squeeze every dollar out of like higher dollar items like this, the best thing to do is just wait. List it on eBay, list it for like maybe slightly above market value with best offer on, and wait for the right buyer to come along. I oftentimes don't like doing business that way. Now, granted, with like my higher dollar graded games, like all these things down here, I didn't put all my graded games in this auction because my higher dollar ones, I am willing to wait like that, right? We've got Battlefront here. Let's see if we can get this out a little bit more. I'm giving you guys a little sneak peek here. See, we got Mario 64, WADA 8.5. What's this here? We've got this thing is not wanting to come out. This is a Mario Galaxy 2 9.8 A+. This is a Destroy All Humans 2. That's not the most high end. What's this? Area 51 85+. So some of my like mid to higher range games, I've probably got over 20 of them in here. And some more in here. What's this? Twisted Metal 2. Some of them I did decide to wait, right? I'd rather play the long game and get as much money out of them as I can. But a lot of the stuff, I'm gonna pick the cash flow, right? I don't want to sit on all of these things forever. I'm already sitting on more of these than I'd really like. If any of you guys are interested in those titles, you're welcome. I think my eBay store should be linked in the description. You can go on there, you can shoot me offers, you can hit me up on Instagram if you want, and I'll give you at least 15% off if you're paying in cash. But folks, here's the main takeaway that I want you guys to take. I would estimate, so the total sales, I told you guys that I would update you on this. The total sales of this auction were $7,196 for an average sale price of $230 on these guys, which after fees puts me at just about 200 or break even. I think looking at these that I was probably a little bit generous with my average buy cost of 200. So I think that once all is said and done, I'll probably be profiting $500 to $1,000 on that 7,000 gross proceed, which is fine. You know, it's not bad. Would I do it again, knowing that what I would have to pay in grading fees and how long it would take and basically how long that money would be in process? No, I would not. I would take the sealed games that I graded and I would just sell them sealed, either on Amazon or on eBay. Or on Whatnot, and just get that money quicker rather than waiting the 6 months that it took to get these things back. But folks, that's part of the process. That's part of the journey. Hopefully some of you guys can learn from my mistakes and not make the same ones yourself. But that's largely what this channel is for. It's what Phoenix Resale is for as well. Helping you guys learn from my mistakes so that you don't have to make all the same ones yourself. And yeah, I hope if nothing else that people take away from this, there is very real and genuine value in not insisting on getting full market value for stuff as a reseller. If you can clear it out, whether it's like working with another reseller in a wholesale dealer, in a wholesale kind of environment, and they take, and I do this on the buying end all the time because I have so many efficiencies with selling on Amazon. All this stuff is about to go to Amazon. Please don't mind my overflowing trash bin. I do this on the buying side all the time. People will give me deals because a lot of resellers out there also value moving stuff quickly, especially if it's a lot of stuff at once. And that's exactly what I did because I have that same value with all of the graded stuff that I sold today. Whatnot is a very similar outlet to me as a wholesale relationship would be. I'm sacrificing being able to get 100% of, full market value for stuff in order to move stuff quick, which in business is extremely valuable. Whatnot is not sponsoring this in any way. I mean, I've been talking about all kinds of platforms in this, but for some reason, because they sponsor other videos on the main channel, I feel people might think that they're sponsoring this one too. They're not. Completely unfiltered, random take. I talk about Whatnot in these videos because I sell on there, and this is a channel about a resale business. So anyways, hopefully you guys have learned a little bit from my mistakes. Nonetheless, I'm not upset about how this went. I'm making money, I'm moving inventory, and I'm gonna take that money, most importantly, and put it into something that I know will make me money. And that is the end goal at the end of the day. Folks, I'm not gonna flip anything because this is Renix P-Sale.
Don't flip!
Remember to tip your waiters and waitresses well. One of the best pieces of advice I ever received was the size of your tip says more about you than it does about the service you received. That's what I'm gonna leave you with today. Peace.